myself for 5 minutes, and it's good to hear my friend from New York extol the virtues of business and capitalism. Maybe he could impart that wisdom on his friend, Mr. Mamdani. Maybe he could learn from you, Mr. Meeks. So let's be clear, allowing a small group of left-wing activists to hijack the proxy proposal process to push social, environmental, DEI, or political objectives totally unrelated to the core business of a company does not advance the cause of capitalism. It undermines capitalism. It corrupts capitalism because it results in the misallocation of resources of the company. It undermines the profitability of the company. It hurts the shareholders. It doesn't advance the value of the shares of the stock. It hurts the value of the shares of the stock. That's what we're talking about here today. And let's go to Mrs. Keel, because you've seen this in your practice. What is the cost in terms of time, resources, legal fees of responding, engaging with these petty political shareholder proposals?
Sure. So I'm happy to kind of tick through what especially the intangible costs are, which is, deciding whether something has first been substantially implemented. So a lot of times these proposals will have been already considered by a board and implemented. That's a cost to determine that in and of itself. You'll have to decide whether it's a compliance with law type proposal. So for example, this season we saw a lot of illegal deforestation and avocado supply chain proposals. Next, you're going to have to ask, is this something...
Avocado supply chain. I mean, this stuff is so absurd. Does any of this advance the profitability of the enterprise?
I have not seen the financial analysis.
So it's not about what's good for business. It's actually trying to hijack and undermine the business. It is an attempt to politicize the business, totally unrelated to the mission and core mission of the business. Mr. Mueller, how has the SEC's interpretation of significant policy issues evolved over time, and has this evolution contributed to the use of shareholder proposal process for non-pecuniary ends?
It certainly has during the Gensler administration. The slab 14L that we talked about just totally divorced relevance to the company from the shareholder proposal process. And it's important to focus that many of these proposals that are being cited as good examples were all corporate governance proposals. But if ESG matters are good for the companies, then the executives are pursuing that. They don't need the cost and expense of a shareholder proposal to tell them how to run the company best.
And explain how the determination of what is a significant social policy issue has changed over the years, and why the shifting SEC interpretations are harmful.
The shifting interpretations are harmful because they really introduce costs to both sides. It makes it hard for shareholders to know what is a proper proposal to submit, and it makes it hard for companies to say, do we have to fight this at the SEC, or should we put it in the proxy statement?
Ms. Keel, why isn't the SEC Rule 14A8 I-5, which is supposed to exclude irrelevant proposals, and all these proposals are totally irrelevant to the management of the company, why is that not more frequently used as a basis for excluding shareholder proposals?
Sure. So first you have to do a calculation of the 5% test. That's a fairly straightforward, although it's also kind of unclear how to apply that. But then there's an exception that says unless it's significantly relevant or important to a company. And so if you give some examples from this season, we saw 4 that were successful. They related to human rights in India, sugar supply chain, puberty blockers, and the sale of the abortion pill. Those are examples of what was successful in getting them excluded. And then the ones that were unsuccessful were reports on religious discrimination, indigenous people's rights, and human rights in Russia and Ukraine. So you see that it's kind of hard to draw a line.
And the example that you give about a business that's in the business of selling hammers and nails, and they have a proposal on reproductive rights. I mean, this stuff is out of control. And we need to get rid of the politicization of business. This is not about capitalism. Let's be clear. This is about hijacking capitalism. It's about politicizing businesses. And we got to get rid of this rotten stuff, and we got to get back to actual capitalism so that shareholders can actually get a return on their investment and stop and get politics out of this so that shareholders don't lose the returns that they deserve. And with that, I will yield and